Ethiopia has a long and complicated history that many people know very little about. They're one of only 3 countries in Africa to have never been colonized, but at one point they almost were. In this video, we'll go over some of the most important events in Ethiopian history, from ancient kingdoms to world wars, to a crazy Italian invasion. Let's get into it. The Kingdom of Aksum. To understand Ethiopia's history, we first need to go back to the Kingdom of Aksum, which existed in what is now northern Ethiopia and Eritrea between the 1st and 7th centuries CE. Under King Ezana, who converted to Christianity in 324, the kingdom became a major trading hub connecting the Roman Empire and India. The Aksumite rulers took advantage of their strategic location along important trade routes and developed a strong economy based on agriculture, mining, and trade. Their control over the lucrative trade in ivory, gold, and incense made them wealthy and powerful. However, by the 7th century, the Kingdom of Aksum started to decline due to a number of factors. One of the main reasons was the changing of trade routes caused by the rise of Islam and the subsequent closure of the Red Sea ports to Christian ships. This made it harder for the kingdom to trade with the outside world and generate revenue. Another reason was the increasing power of the Arab armies, who began to invade Ethiopia in the mid-7th century. By the end of the 7th century, the Kingdom of Aksum had been largely conquered by Muslim forces, and its influence in the region began to wane. The Solomonic Dynasty. After the fall of the Kingdom of Aksum, Ethiopia would be ruled by a series of native dynasties for the next several centuries. However, one of the most significant and enduring dynasties in Ethiopian history was the Solomonic Dynasty, which traced its lineage back to the legendary union between the Queen of Sheba and King Solomon. The dynasty's origins are shrouded in myth and legend, but historical records show that it emerged in the 13th century and lasted until 1975. The founder of the dynasty was Yekuno Amlak, who proclaimed himself emperor in 1270. He established his capital at the city of Addis Ababa, which had been chosen as the new capital in 1886 because of its central location and defensibility. From there, he set about consolidating his power and extending his control over the various kingdoms and principalities of Ethiopia. The process of unifying Ethiopia was a long and difficult one, but by the time of his death in 1285, Yekuno Amlak had succeeded in creating a single, albeit fragile, state. His successors continued to expand and strengthen the empire, and by the 15th century, Ethiopia had become a formidable power in the region. The peak of the Solomonic dynasty's power and glory came under the reign of Emperor Lebna Dengel from 1508 to 1540. During his reign, Ethiopia was able to repel an invasion by the Ottoman Empire, and Ahmad ibn Ibrahim al-Ghazi, also known as the Left-Handed. Ahmed was a fanatic Muslim preacher who led a jihad against the Christians of Ethiopia. Although he was ultimately defeated, his invasion had a profound impact on Ethiopian history. It led to the introduction of Islam into Ethiopian politics and society, as well as the development of a strong sense of Ethiopian identity and nationalism. After the Ottoman-Adal War, Ethiopia experienced a period of decline. Internal conflicts and instability weakened the empire and made it vulnerable to external threats. By the end of the 18th century, Ethiopia had been fragmented into a number of semi-autonomous states ruled by local chiefs and princes. This period of instability and fragmentation would last until the early 19th century, when a new dynasty rose to power: the Italian invasion. In the early 20th century, Italy was looking for new territories to conquer, and Ethiopia seemed like the perfect target. In addition to being relatively weak, Ethiopia was strategically located near important trade routes and had a lot of valuable resources. On top of all that, Italians believed that they had a God-given right to rule over Ethiopia because of the legendary Queen of Sheba and King Solomon thing. On October 3, 1935, Italian troops crossed into Ethiopia and began their invasion. Despite fierce resistance from Ethiopian forces, the Italians were able to advance quickly, and by May 1936, they had captured Addis Ababa. Haile Selassie, the Ethiopian emperor, was forced to flee into exile in Britain. The Italians ruled over Ethiopia in a brutal and oppressive manner. They exploited the country's resources and enslaved its people. They also tried to change the religious and cultural landscape of Ethiopia, which only made the Ethiopians hate them more. However, World War II would ultimately lead to the downfall of the Italian occupation. In 1941, British and Ethiopian troops launched a joint offensive to drive the Italians out of the country. The Ethiopian patriots were able to recapture Addis Ababa in May 1941, and Selassie was restored to power. But this victory came at a great cost. The war had devastated Ethiopia's economy and infrastructure, and the country was left in ruins, post-war and the revolution. In the aftermath of World War II, Ethiopia faced a number of challenges, including economic instability, social unrest, and external threats. Despite these challenges, the country made significant strides in the areas of education, health, and infrastructure. In 1942, Haile Selassie founded the University of Addis Ababa, which would become the country's first modern university. He also implemented a number of social reforms, such as the introduction of a new legal code and the abolition of slavery. However, by the 1970s, Ethiopia was facing a new crisis. A severe drought had led to widespread famine, and the government's attempts to address the crisis were ineffective. This, combined with growing discontent over Selassie's authoritarian rule, led to a popular uprising in 1975. The Solomonic Dynasty was overthrown, and Selassie was deposed and murdered. A military junta known as the Derg took power, and Ethiopia became a socialist state. The Derg regime was characterized by human rights abuses, corruption, and economic mismanagement. In 1983, another famine struck Ethiopia, this time claiming the lives of millions of people. The international response to the famine was slow and inadequate, which led to further instability and unrest. In 1991, the Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Democratic Front, or EPRDF, launched a military campaign to overthrow the Derg regime. The conflict resulted in the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people and the displacement of millions more. By 1995, the EPRDF had emerged victorious, and Ethiopia was on the path to democracy, modern Ethiopia. Since the fall of the Derg regime, Ethiopia has made significant progress in terms of economic growth, political stability, and social development. The country has experienced a number of positive developments in recent years. The Ethiopian economy has grown rapidly, with an average annual growth rate of around 10%. This growth has led to the reduction of poverty and the improvement of living standards for many Ethiopians. Ethiopia has also made significant strides in the area of infrastructure development. The country has invested heavily in transportation, energy, and telecommunications, which has helped to connect rural areas and improve access to services. Ethiopia has also played an important role in regional and international affairs. The country has been a key player in the African Union and has worked to promote peace and security in the region. Ethiopia has also been a major recipient of foreign investment and aid, which has helped to support its economic growth and development. Despite these positive developments, Ethiopia continues to face a number of challenges. The country's population has grown rapidly in recent decades, and this has put a strain on resources and infrastructure. Ethiopia is also home to a number of ethnic groups, and this has led to tensions and conflicts in some areas. The country's history of authoritarian rule has left a legacy of corruption and human rights abuses. And Ethiopia continues to experience periodic droughts and famines, which pose a serious threat to food security. Ethiopia is a country with a rich and complex history. From its ancient roots in the Kingdom of Aksum to its more recent past under the Solomonic Dynasty and the Derg regime, Ethiopia has seen its fair share of ups and downs. Today, Ethiopia is a vibrant democracy with a growing economy and a promising future. As the country continues to develop and grow, it is important to remember its rich history and the lessons that can be learned from it. Ethiopia is a testament to the resilience and strength of the human spirit and a reminder of the importance of democracy, human rights, and good governance. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button so we can keep making videos about cool stuff.